Hello, and welcome to Proper Chat, a Love Island podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nicole Barton.
Hi, I'm Brana.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
Hi, I'm Langa.
And we are here to talk about Love Island Season 11. We're going to cover episodes 10 through 16. So the Wednesday episode last week through Tuesday of this week. We're going to talk about our top 3 moments from the week. We're going to play our classic, iconic tier ranking game. And then we're going to give you some gossip from the Love Island feeds. But before we start, I wanted to check in with my co-hosts. How was everyone's week? Give us a high, give us a low. What's been going on?
I'll go first. I had a very busy, stressful week. I had a lot of work to get done, a lot of prep to get done because I'm leaving for London tomorrow. I'm going to see Taylor Swift on Sunday, which I'm so excited about. And yeah, so that's my high. And the only low is I will not be joining the podcast recording next week because I will be in France when this activity is happening. But I will be trying to stay up to date on Love Island. I might just have to do a big binge when I'm back. Who knows? But yeah.
Well, we'll miss you, but bon voyage.
Cheerio.
Oh, that's me next. My bad. My high of the week is that we had a group dinner, which was really nice because the last time we had all planned originally to meet. I obviously got sick. So this was a great opportunity for all of us to hang out. But also my low is that I got food poisoning literally on the way home from dinner, literally almost exploded in the Uber. So did not, but it was crazy.
Oh man, girl, you have just been having a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
One after the other. I think.
Yeah, I need to focus on my gut health, apparently.
Yeah, seriously. Get some probiotics.
Eat some yogurt. Yeah.
One of my highs was also seeing you guys. I miss seeing you, Lenga, because last time we didn't get to see each other, and I had seen the girls for a while. But another high of mine was that I was able to go to Muir Beach, which is really fun. It's one of my favorite beaches in like the Marin area. And it was so fun. We went in the water and we were in there for like 30 minutes. So it's like a cold plunge, basically. It was so fun. Loved it.
Ooh, I love a cold plunge.
What about you, Nicole?
Yeah, my high this weekend was I actually went down to Palo Alto and got to catch up with an old friend of mine from high school, which is kind of a fun thing for me to do. But on the way there, I have a recommendation for you all. I was listening to this podcast called Who Trolled Amber from Tortoise Media. It's about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, but it's all about sort of like this like behind the scenes social media conspiracy to like kind of tear her down and how a lot of it was like manufactured. And then like it goes into like these sort of like story behind like versions of like these crazy social media campaigns that happen for a lot of other people. But anyway, highly recommend. Super juicy drama. So that was a fun listen. And then my low was that I just got sunburned because we were in the sun and it was hot this weekend. So reminder to wear your sunscreen.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Fragile, pale folk. I get it.
I know. Can't handle it.
Not me getting sunburned like all the time.
Okay, I actually also got sunburn when I was at Muir Beach. My skin is peeling, which is horrible. Like we need to treat our skin well.
Yes.
But I don't know. The thing is, I took some Reef Safe sunscreen, and you have to like smear that stuff on your skin, and it just isn't smooth. So I didn't get pretty much like all my arm. So yeah.
Dang, yeah,
That's
you
not
know it's
fun.
bad when you get sunburned, Gabby.
Literally. Can you imagine all these little kids? Oh, I feel so bad.
Yeah. All right, well, let's kick it in.
All right, so now we're going to get into the top 3 moments of the week. I felt like we had a really juicy week this week now that we are starting to get to know everyone a lot better. We kind of, passed the intros. We're really getting into the good stuff. So this week kicked off with our first public vote, and it left at the bottom 3 couples vulnerable. We had Patsy and Munveer, Uma and Omar, and Sean and Harriet. And at the end, the Islanders decided to vote off Patsy and Munveer, which I think we all saw this coming. Neither of them had any prospects really. I feel like also in the last podcast we were saying hadn't heard from Munveer the whole week prior. So like didn't really know him well enough to miss him at this point. I think, yeah, he clearly, he had a nice little vacation. He took some PTO, but what did you guys all think about the first public vote?
It's so
Was
funny that you say that about Manveer because I feel like we've heard so much now that he's not in the show. We've heard so much from him, like
Mm-hmm.
so many juicy details that he's sharing online about all these things. So it was totally like vacation time PTO. I don't think he vibed with anybody. I think he was ready to go home, but looks like he's thriving. Did he get a new tattoo too? So I feel like he's just doing well outside of the villa.
Yeah,
So
someone in the comments on him leaving, I also saw like a thread on Reddit basically saying Manveer should be a bombshell in the Love Island USA because I feel like he would do well with the US audience
Mm.
and like crew. So maybe he's got some potential for the future. But I want to circle it back to the bottom 3 because I was actually really surprised at Harriet being in the bottom 3. I feel like she came out of a week of being in her villain era, but also like people being entertained by that. So I don't know. It seems like the public was either like really happy to like continuing her on, or they were like, I don't know, they really did see her as a villain. What do you all think of that?
Yeah, I feel like she probably wasn't very liked. So people are just, and like obviously Sean has had no connection at this point either. So people are probably just fine to let them both go at this point since they were just kind of, yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other person who I was surprised is Uma, just because she's one of my faves now.
Yeah, I think the people that they chose to keep were like, as we said, like Brana was saying, that some people felt like a bit stronger in their couples because I think people weren't like voted like individually. So I think like as like Joey Essex, obviously the people's fave, but I just think unfortunately like Omar and Umar didn't seem at the time to have like a very strong connection. So like it was terrible to see them there, but I wasn't shocked just based on like the other couples being a little bit stronger. And
Totally.
then Manveer, honestly, again, just on PTO, I have no opinion on him because like he didn't really do that much, and you didn't really see him trying to crack on with anyone really. So it kind of was like, I guess, like thank you, bye. It's like, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and then that led us to after we had Patsy and Manveer leaving the villa, that meant we have opportunity to bring some new folks in. So we had 3 new bombshells enter the villa. We had Will with 1 L, Tiffany and Grace all came walking into the villa. And first thing we learn is that Grace and Joey have some history, and they get to chatting and catching up. Samantha quickly notices this. She's not a fan. We'll get into that some more later. Tiffany starts chatting with the boys. She's particularly chatting with Ronnie, another girl who's seeing something in Ronnie that, I don't know, the rest of us aren't really seeing. And Will is chatting with the girls, and he really starts enjoying his conversations with Uma. And shortly after they arrive, they all get a text. They each get to choose an islander for an overnight sleepover getaway. And of course, Grace chooses Joey to no surprise. Will chose Uma, and then Tiffany chose Ronnie. And I thought this was so interesting for them to just throw this in at this point in the season. It really felt like a little mini Casa Amor, because everyone certainly was acting that way the second they got into a different house. They were kind of like, no one's here. I can do whatever I want. But yeah, what did you guys think? I kind of liked this little baby Casa Amor moment.
I thought it was Casa Amor. I genuinely thought that this was a way of taking them to Casa Amor. I thought
Oh,
that they were the only ones that were gonna go to Casa Amor. I was trying to figure out like what the twist was gonna be, and I thought that they were taking them there because it looked like the house, the Casa Amor house.
right.
And then I thought that they would bring in other people while they were there, and I just thought that was going to be the twist, and then little did I know that no, it was just them hanging out for one day. I genuinely don't know what the purpose of that, except for maybe like they were trying to create an environment where they could like truly be, themselves and
Mm.
open up.
Yeah.
Totally. I feel like it did the effect that I think it had on Joey and Grace was kind of what the producers were hoping it would. But like I was thinking about it as if I was a bombshell or like a random person that just came into the villa and I was told, hey, pick someone to spend a night with, like on your first day, I would feel totally overwhelmed with that decision. And if I had a semi connection with someone and I like eventually like learned in the sleepover that it wasn't a fit or whatever, like it could have gone so wrong. Luckily I think for the bombshells, they picked well, and like I feel like it almost solidified their connections more. But like imagine the pressure of being like, oh gosh, I have to find a connection, and I have to like we're gonna go away together, and like what if I still want to get to know people before I like make this decision, like I feel like it put a lot of pressure on the situation. But at the same time, the Joey and Grace situation only heated up because they knew each other from the before times. And so it was like, it just set fire to the whole flames. Like it roared and they were able to do whatever they wanted in that second villa.
Well, and apparently they did do whatever they wanted, because what I saw on the internet was that Love Island producers had to cut out a lot of X-rated content, whatever that may be, while they were hanging out over there. So I want the bloopers. I want these unseen bits. Like, what did we get? What did they cut out that we don't know about? Because I mean, yeah, Joey was kind of like the second she walked in, he was like a little puppy. He was like, like so excited to see her. And it was like that spark that I think Samantha was hoping they would have, and that he was just kind of and wasn't there. But I was like, oh, this is Joey 2.0.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you on that because yeah, I feel like that's when Samantha knew like, okay, maybe this isn't it, because she obviously saw like a change in his behavior and just like an energy change. So I think she just was like, yeah, I'm not going to compete with this, and totally understand. And obviously as the days went on, him being so much more effortlessly like affectionate, and Samantha being like, wow, I've been with you for 2 days and I've not even seen any of this. So yeah, but I do think again, I mean, the producers are like, and it's just a thing to also be like super messy, because I'm sure like they've come up with these ideas of like, oh, what will we throw into this season? And obviously when like the timing is right, they're like, okay, this is time to throw this, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, there's no way this would have been okay with any couple. So I think they just obviously chose perfect time to do this for like Samantha and Joey. And maybe sometimes they just like, maybe Samantha like, okay, cool, we don't need you on the show anymore, so let's just throw this in, and no, we're gonna also do like a recoupling. So it's just I guess it's just part of the show, and they're just like trying like a whole bunch of experiments. And like that this one, they're like, okay, now that like we can also throw in an overnight stay, and like I mean, being like the hideaway is open 24/7. So it's just sort of like very interesting, the change of the season. Like it's literally like everything. They're like, just throw it in and see how the experiment's gonna work.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think what I missed about the sleepover element too was, yes, they got like a minute to like get to know each other and like have their
Mhm.
like do their dirty deeds somewhere else. But we also didn't get the drama of like the people sort of like watching from the sides. Like I was thinking back like how some of the times when they bring in bombshells, they do like the date night. So pick like an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. And then everyone sitting on the balcony being like, "Ooh, they're feeding each other." Like, "Ooh, they like leaned in to like whisper." Like, and I think that's what I missed in this instance. Like, I feel like they were just sitting in the other villa speculating about what's going to happen. And like, we didn't get the like
Yeah.
legit reactions and also them cracking on with multiple people.
I have
Yeah, like
two
I
thoughts about this. I think my first thought about the overnight stay is that back to the point of Joey and the girl doing and Grace in that room, like we can't eh, if naked scenes are not shown in the show. So a lot of I remember this brought me back a memory that I saw that Whitney posted about. She said that when she was in the show, when
Mhm.
she had to like take her wig out, or when she didn't want to show that part, she would literally like take out her bra and just be like topless while she was changing and like doing her hair. Which I thought it was interesting because I feel like was it because we didn't see anything from that scene, and we didn't like hardly saw like one bit, even from like when they were in their own in the overnight, and when they were like in their own room later on, when they do the um that room, that private room that they have. So that was my first thought. And then the second thought of so that it was very interesting in general, just like seeing their dynamic in the show, and like why didn't we see much of their chemistry like at nighttime? Was it all cut off because like there was like some like show screen that something that wasn't able to be shown right on screen? And the second thing is like back to Uma. I did you guys get a sense of like her personality more in this while she was in the overnight? Because I thought that her cuteness and her happiness like really reflected in like how excited she was, and like genuinely happy for someone to pick her. Like I felt like she was kind of deflated in the whole last episode because of Io not picking her, and then she got super excited and kind of like he won her over, and they had like their own moment and were able to kind of like nurture that. But it was because of the picking. Like you picked me to go on this vacation with you, so like she felt really excited. So that was like a positive that I saw from the overnight stay that I don't think she would have gotten if we saw just them having like the dinner. Like if she would have gone picked for like appetizer or something.
Totally, yeah. And it was nice that she got that moment. Like I really was happy for her. And I like her and Will. Like they seem like they have good chemistry. Like he's very chill, she's very bubbly.
yeah.
And we did get to see that chemistry kind of come out in the overnight stay. But on the
Yeah.
flip side, Gabby, imagine like now Ronnie's ego that he got picked for another thing. I'm
This
like,
man.
this man does not need to be picked again. Why do all
Oh,
the girls like this man?
why did she pick him? There's so many options. Why would you pick him?
Beats me, Gabby. Beats me.
I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Maybe he's more better good looking in person.
I highly
Yeah.
doubt it.
I
But
just don't get anything from his personality. Like his banter just doesn't really work for me. I just see more of like the F boy, like just
Yeah.
careless. I just don't like that type of personality. Like, if it was me in the villa, I wouldn't even have given him 1 second.
Same
That's it.
girl. Same. It's weird. I almost liked him more in the beginning when he was with Jess because she would put it back to him in like a way. Like they had like a back and forth that was really interesting. But like once he was with Harriet and then now he's with Tiffany, like I feel like he got with like the hottest girl, but not someone that like can like shape him into place, you know what I mean? So I think his ego is just super inflated right now. It's not good.
Yeah, he's very,
Mm.
very cocky, and we're not here for it. And moving on to the third biggest moment of the week, which we obviously briefly talked about, Joey and Grace, but the week really started off strong for Samantha and Joey. They got chosen to have a one-on-one date and, seemed to like really get to know each other better. Things were starting to blossom. And then so soon after that great date that they had, it was when Grace showed up, and it was really crystal clear the second she showed up that Joey was going to be totally focused on her. Any potential that he could have had with Samantha was completely out the window. And they had the getaway sleepover, but then once the sleepover was over, they came back to the villa, and Samantha was obviously visibly upset because she just felt like, I just spent 2 weeks with you and now you're like, I can see you're so much more excited about this girl. I'm not going to be involved. You guys have history. She was crying. He tries talking to her. She's not really interested in having that conversation. She just feels super like mugged off and upset by the whole situation. And then after their conversation, he's chatting with Grace on the daybed. They have a kiss, which everyone sees, and including Samantha, and she cries again. And it was so sad to watch because she just really did seem like a great girl and like wasn't the right fit, but sad that she got hurt in that way. And Joey and Grace decide that they want to spend the night in the hideaway since they're not on a couple. So they, by the rules, can go to the hideaway together. And, he tells Samantha that. She's like, cool, yeah, like, carry on, I'm like done with you. And they spend the night in the hideaway together. And then sadly, on the last day, last night's episode, we had a recoupling and Samantha gets sent home, which I think makes sense because she obviously didn't have anyone there for her. I mean, maybe they could have sent someone in, but maybe the producers were also kind of done with that storyline and wanted to bring in fresh meat too. So yeah, what did you guys all think about this whole love triangle saga?
Yeah, well, it wasn't even like a triangle. Like the
Yeah,
moment, like
true.
we said, the moment Grace walked in, he was like, "Oh, I used to get with that girl, man," and they like rekindled it pretty much immediately. And honestly, I really felt bad for Samantha. Like this was really hard to watch. Like not only her being like, I just wish he would have said, "Hey, like." This was legitimate for me or like given her some affection through their 2 weeks like to show like he actually did like her and then she's seeing like on the flip side this is what it would have been if he actually liked me um and then it was like a triple whammy like they came back in they already kissed they went to the hideaway and then she gets dumped like I was like, oh, damn, why couldn't they just like have like the same thing that happened with Mimi? She like gets a text and gets to go on a date. Like
Right.
that would have been a better move in my perspective. So I just felt bad for Samantha, not gonna lie. I'm gonna miss her accent.
Me too. I
Me too.
know. And you could see all the girls were obviously so upset that she was leaving. It almost felt like she was kind of like big sister energy. And like, yeah, they were just all such good friends and she will be missed, but who knows, maybe we'll see her in All Stars someday.
I mean, the sweet guy did try to stick it on her too. Sean, you heard in one of the clips where they're just hanging out, he confesses that he like was kind of interested, but that he was a little intimidated by her. And she just laughs at him basically, like in the pool. So she had plenty of opportunities to just like even make friendship connections where she could have gotten picked. I mean, I feel extremely bad for her, but at the same time, like I just feel like she was fully all eggs in one basket for Joey, and it didn't work out. Like that strategy didn't work out. If um you know, and I feel like the Sean guy, instead of picking, if Samantha would have shown a little bit of interest, I feel like he could have picked her too. But we knew that he wasn't gonna pick her because Harriet showed so much interest. Like you can tell that Harriet was like more strategic. She was trying, or maybe she's just friendly too. I don't know. It's hard to read Harriet, but you could tell like Sean could have picked Samantha, but she just wasn't open.
It's true. That's totally true.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do definitely feel bad as to how like Joey handled the Samantha situation, because I feel like he was like, oh, I don't know what to do like with the guys, and I feel like sometimes it made me feel like it was a bit of like an act, because he again doesn't want to come off as like a bad guy. This is someone who's been on television before, so it's like he also still wants to like do what he wants to do while actually still like being able to be like palatable, like, you know, enjoyed from like a public view. So I think even like him sort of being like, oh, but you know, I'm still gonna be with Grace, but like, don't worry, I'm still here for you. But like, so just like things like that, where it's like he's not understanding, and she's just like, oh, I'm embarrassed, and him not like understanding, like, you could have just been honest, or you could also just be honest with me now and just be like, actually, you know what, maybe you are right. Now that I have had this now that Grace has come in and I see how I am with her, maybe I understand how you feel about how I wasn't as like physical with you. But you know what I mean? Like, I just think he just kind of is like pretending to sort of be there for her, but also while also he can have just like a good time with Grace. And then he's also telling Grace they're doing nothing. And like Grace can't sleep on a single bed, so they're sleeping in the hideaway. Like, what was wrong with Grace sleeping on the bed by herself?
He's so stupid for saying
Yeah.
that. As like one of the reasons why they were going to the hideaway was because, oh, I mean, she has the single bed. Like that's a perfectly good bed. She can sleep there.
And he's like, I can't sleep outside. So like 1+1, you know, 2.
Yeah, the man definitely wanted to have his cake and eat it too. And you're right, he totally could have like confessed a little bit and been like, "Hey, your feelings are totally valid." But he didn't want to confess that he had done something wrong in the situation, which is like not totally treat Samantha with respect and even just like keeping his hands off Grace, right?
What happened in the hideaway too? Like what happened? Because usually the girls will swarm the girl to try to understand what happened. We got none of that because all the girls were on Samantha's side, which for obvious reasons, you have a friend for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is not 2 weeks. 2 weeks is like a month and a half in this villa, right? Because you spend like 24/7 with them.
Well,
We'll
they
see.
admitted that they had sex before the
Mhm.
show, so I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
If you've been there before, it's easy to go down the road. I think that happened. Maybe we'll get to learn more what's like Grace warms up with the girls a little bit more.
All right, now it's time for our infamous proper ranking game. In this game, we rank contestants based on a set of categories. This week, we are keeping the same categories as last week, and we'll see how much our board moves this week. We are going to start off with people that have already left, which is Munveer and basically our friendship island, which is a no-brainer for me, Patsy and Munveer. We've talked enough about Munveer, but were you guys a little sad that Patsy left?
Yeah, I would have liked to see more of her for sure, but
Same.
alas.
Same. And she seemed like she was actually trying to like get to know people that were coming in. So Manveer was just chilling and she was actively like trying to chat with people, but it didn't work out. I'm sad about that.
It feels like ages ago since they left because I think they left literally the last day we last spoke, we last filmed the episode. Samantha also left. Obviously, we chatted about her. Um, so is there anything you guys want to talk about in terms of like Joey, where he fits? Because do you guys think he's on job with Grace, or do you guys think now he's playing the field? And open to anyone who comes into the villa? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think, to be honest, I feel like when Joey and Grace spoke, because I think when she, like, besides them making out and stuff like that, when Grace basically said to him, like, okay, cool, like, we're into each other, we've known this the whole time, and they spoke about their chemistry. She's like, but we've known this. But she's like, okay, we're into each other, but what makes you think things would work out now since they didn't work out last time? And I don't think he gave like clear answers. Like she said, I still live where I live, you still live where you live. And she was like, even though I am thinking of moving to like London, but like, what's going to change to make this work this time? And I just feel like Joey's answers weren't like legit thought out answers. So I think he's just like, at this point, he's like, and I feel like her face also was giving also like, okay, cool, so you're not giving the right answers. So as much as I think he's really into her right now, and obviously it's like a place of comfort and it's a nice change from Samantha, do I think Joey won't like anyone coming in who's brand new and shiny and as maybe as beautiful as Grace? I think it's possible, because I just think the Grace thing was sort of like comfortable and easy for him to move into. But do I think that he's like gonna just be like, this is the one and I'm staying here? No.
Totally. And like they started their romance on vacation. So he's like, great, we'll just have another vacation, and hasn't really seriously thought about like, okay, this actually didn't work when we were in the real world. Like, let's maybe not start it up again, or like have like some answers to these questions before we like kick it off. But anyway, I actually would advocate for him being in on job right now until he decides to play the field and like see what his thoughts are. That's where I'm placing him, but that's because he's just putting so much into Grace right now. Like he has like laser focus on her. That's just my 2 cents.
I would agree with Lenga just because she picked him to go in on this vacation, on this day vacation. So I feel like he's just playing it to see how it goes. It didn't work out the first time, so what is it to say that it will work out this time? He doesn't feel like he's being that committed to her either. He's just kind of having a good time, like making out with her, like doing all the things that he like you could tell is his personality, but he obviously wasn't vibing with Samantha, or else he would have already like kissed her and done like little flirty things with her. It's like pretty obvious to me that he was kind of like just playing it all along, and then right now he just basically is playing it again. I haven't gotten much of Grace either, so like I can't judge, the situation by from how I'm seeing her. It just feels like he's just excited to see her again, but it's not like an excitement where it's like commitment. Like I don't see much commitment at all.
Yeah, it's also a comfort too. Like, that comfort of having someone step in who you've known before when you're in this villa full of like strangers and while you're on TV at the same time. I feel like obviously that was like such an easy, like, oh yeah, like I don't really, him and Samantha weren't really vibing, and then Grace comes in and it's a quick, like, okay, like, oh yeah, I know this. It's like it's easy to slip back into it. But yeah,
Mm.
I do feel like as of now, I could easily see him turning his head for sure.
Okay. Well, we can
Yeah.
keep him there. I think he's like committed for now. And then
Yeah.
unless someone else comes in, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, we'll see if he plays the field, right?
Yeah.
So now switching gears to the new folks, Grace, starting with Grace, right? Since we've already chatted about her, what do you guys think she's like? Is she playing the field? Is she on job? What are your thoughts up to this point?
The girl had so many options, but decided to be on job, is what I think. I feel like all the guys were looking at her when she came in and walked through the door. And unfortunately, I think she was very excited about pursuing the Joey option again. We'll see if maybe some other like very attractive guy will like put it on her and she'll like start playing the field. But like until then, it sounds like she's trying to like ask the right questions with Joey, like you said, Lenga. Like she's trying to like make it work.
Yeah. Part of me thinks, did she get on the show because someone knew that they had history?
Surely.
Like was she very like was she just interested in Joey? Because he seems like a famous guy. So was she just like so interested that she went on the show for Joey? I feel like that's kind of the case.
I think
Yeah,
if
like
I think if not her, I think I read somewhere they were like Joey's got like affiliation with ITV. So like I don't think it's like I don't know if it means she came on, but I don't think it's a coincidence her and Joey are on the same season. Like whatever the producers did in the back, there's no like, oh my gosh, my vacation fling of like last year just popped up on this show. Like what are the chances?
Totally.
Totally.
They love to bring exes together.
Mm-hmm. I saw also that like someone posted some evidence that maybe they were like together even sooner than like they admitted that they were like
Mm-hmm.
separated. So like this could have been just like a quick rekindling. Like he might have like been like, oh, it hasn't worked for like 2 months, and then he got into the villa. Like this this might have been like very easy.
or it might have been a thing where he had a job to do, like he was about to start another reality show which is his job at this point. So he had to basically ghost her or let her go because he knew that he was going to come on the show if it
And
was
now that
that soon.
she's on, he's like, okay, great. I got my cake and you're gonna eat it too. So
In the
There you
hideaway.
go.
in the hideaway. Nice.
He's done
Yeah.
it before, so that makes sense. All right, guys, what do you think about Tiffany? What are your thoughts on her? Is she playing the field, or on job with Ronnie? We have seen Tiffany talk with our sweet man here, Sean. But every time, I don't know what you all think, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Every time they talk, it almost feels like he's trying to win her over and it's a little too much. It's like he's trying so hard. I feel so bad. And she just is like, ha, 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 ha,
Yeah.
yes.
Poor
It's just
Sean.
nothing.
Poor
Sweet
Sean.
as candy, you
Sweet as
know?
candy, but too many puns, sir. Too many puns, I think. Like, and
And
then
too much sugar.
comparisons. Yeah, and too
So
many. He's like, it's like he like branded himself. This is the only thing he
Yeah,
can talk about now. Like, come on, switch it up,
totally.
man.
He's giving us all
What's
a
your favorite?
cavity.
Yeah, what's your favorite candy? If you were a candy, what candy would you be?
You're sweet
I
as a
think
strawberry milkshake. Like, what the heck, dude?
It's too
it's
much.
too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
it is too much.
But I do think she's playing the field. Like I don't think she's like confident in Ronnie yet. She like recognizes that he's been around. So she's like testing the waters with other guys for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. So before we move on to Will, what about Ronnie? Is he set on Tiffany now? Is he still talking? I feel like he's just gonna be playing the field the whole time he's here.
He's the mayor
He's
of
just,
the field.
I mean, truly.
Yeah, he's not here for anything real. He's here on a lad's holiday.
That's why we put the soccer players in the field.
But
100%. Yeah. Well, okay, a couple that well, let's go to Will next, actually. So Will came in strong for Uma. Do you guys think he is on job, or playing the field? And my thoughts are that he was pretty much set on Uma since the beginning, and I feel like he was really very transparent with the girls about that. What are your thoughts?
Totally. He did have a kiss with Nicole early on when they came in, when they were playing that game. But like, I think it came from a place of like, let me test the waters. And once he like went to the sleepaway with Uma, I think it really like solidified for him, like, oh, this is the girl, like I'm on job. And they even had like that talk about like marriage. They were like getting like real serious and like cute.
Yeah.
I'm kind of obsessed with them already.
Same. I'm
Yeah.
like obsessed because he was like, I think your nickname for me can be Boyf and like stuff
Yes.
like that. Like I thought like their like banter was like really fun. And I think also because they haven't really kissed or anything, and the fact that they have like some sort of like really natural alluring chemistry, and like you can tell like they're both interested in each other. But like even with him, like he's like, yo, you guys know who I am, but I also am gonna play the field. So it's sort of like I really do like her, but again, I'm not gonna put all my eggs in a basket, whatever that saying is. But I just think that they both seem to like where things are going, and it just seems very natural that hopefully nobody ruins this so that like it actually can work out. But they seem like so amazing. I think they're like definitely my favorites of couples right now.
Same.
Yay, happy for them.
I know. Finally, Uma has her moment after the busy Io Mimi triangle situation that was last week. Speaking of Io and Mimi, they've been really quiet this week. We haven't
Yeah.
seen much of them. What the heck happened? What do you guys think?
I feel like they had a lot of screen time last week, and I'm assuming things are just going as they have been progressing. So I think that's fine. But yeah, I feel like they're definitely both on job at this point.
I'd say so too. Yeah, and he did do a really cute recoupling speech when they were around the fire pit, and she was like trying to act like cool, but clearly like smiling inside. So yeah, we haven't seen them much. Would love to have them go on a date just to see how the chemistry is going.
Mm-hmm.
But
Totally.
yeah, I think they're pretty on job until someone comes in, if they do.
And even when he was talking to the boys about her, and you guys remember when she was trying to listen in, he was saying like really nice things about her. So I feel like he's, as of now, on job,
Totally.
is what I think. Yep. So another couple that we've seen pretty strong with each other this week is Nicole and Kieran. Kieran kind of feels wifed up, and so does Nicole. Kieran was someone that we thought could potentially turn heads. Now I'm thinking, is he now on job with Nicole? Because it feels like they're pretty set.
I think
What are
so.
you guys?
I think so too. Yeah, they did have like one little argument this week where he like made a comment about Grace, like potentially wanting to kiss Grace, but like I think that was such a like side comment. Obviously, he shouldn't have made it. That was stupid. But like the drama that kind of came from it, I felt like was not worth it. And I'm glad that they were able to like recover. Like he showed like complete remorse for it. Like he doesn't want to have arguments with her. So I think he's pretty wifed up now. He wants to make it work.
Definitely. And
Yeah,
then
I
two
like.
girl. Yep. Sorry,
I was
Linga.
gonna say I sort of I not like the how I kind of liked how the conversation happened, because I'm glad like it was something again. Honestly, I think the MVPs for Mimi, who was what I heard, because also they aren't even besties. I mean, from what I can see, I don't think Kieran and Mimi are even friends. So the fact that Mimi went out of her way to be like, hey, can I sit you down, and I just like want to tell you that this is out, and if she finds out about it, I thought that was really nice of her to say that. And then I also like, it's nice that Kieran knows that he told Omar, but didn't make a big thing by fighting with Omar. Instead, he actually just went and discussed it with, without it being like a massive fight, and just being like, you know what, I said something stupid. And she's like, who did you say? And he's like, I think to Omar, but I just want to let you know that like it was just a side comment. And then her response being like, it's fine. Thank you for telling me, but also like think before you talk next time. I just thought that's such a like a real conversation you would have with your partner in real life. And I think instead of going and starting a irrelevant fight with Omar, he was like, you know what, let me just actually nip it in the bud with with her first, because that's actually the most important part of the exercise, not the source or who, what, where. I think that was just such a nice real conversation and a real good like conflict resolution sort of moment.
Totally. Yeah, he owned up to it. And I agree. I liked that Mimi sort of helped facilitate that conversation. Also made him feel better for owning up to it. She said, "Hey, you did the right thing talking to Nicole first." Like she also went to Nicole and was like, "Hey, I talked with him and he's really, really sorry about it." She was like kind of like the person in between who was helping each of them come together. So it was, yeah, I agree. It was a good kind of way that it sort of like came together and then.
She just feels like she's very clear-headed when it comes to working through situations. So I do feel like, given that Karen is 21, there's still, and she's a little bit older than him. It's like really nice of her to do that, just coaching, and anyone that's like genuine and is willing to kind of like go out of their way like that, like truly admire that type of personality and sweetness. So, two girls that are now left, like basically alone, are Jess and Harriet, all due to our boy Ronnie. So, I'm thinking they're playing the field, or they better be, or they're in Friendship Island. Where would you guys put them?
I think Harriet's for sure playing the field. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anyone in the villa currently that Jess is like
Mm.
excited about. And I know she's talked openly about being like, I'm not gonna start something if I don't see the potential. Like she tried to pursue something with Sean, but then was like, I need to cut it off because I don't see anything there. So like, unfortunately, I think she's like in Friendship Island with our
Yeah.
boy Sean.
I totally agree.
Yep, I agree. And I also think that she kind of like is the type of person that is not going to go up to Ronnie anymore. Like she's just like, we tried it, didn't work out. I know my worth type of thing. And I don't think she's gonna go back to him. At least I can't see that happening. Even if Ronnie picked her, I don't think she would entertain it.
Yeah, I think she's done with his mess.
Yeah. What
Which is
about,
smart.
oh, yeah, definitely. What about Omar, you guys? Is he in Friendship Island? I genuinely don't see anyone that's there
Yeah,
for him right now.
he is. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like, yeah, if any of our Friendship Island folks end up getting cut this week, it won't be surprising because I feel like they're all kind of just going day by day, got no one there. And yeah, poor
Mm.
Omar. I feel like him and Uma had like a thing for a moment there, but now that Will is in the picture, I don't necessarily see them rekindling and or going back to him.
Got a good
It's hard.
personality though. I hope someone comes
Yeah.
in and is like, I like you and like is all for him because I think that they would have like cool chemistry. I'd like to see him in a mix of someone that works with him.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of his personality, maybe more like when he's with the guys, but I haven't seen him sort of like as much as like Uma. I mean, again, we don't really see it, but even though if with him and Uma, and I know like when she came back, she checked in with him and being like, hey, just because I went, like, don't think you shouldn't like try get to know me. I'd still like to get to know you. But I also was like, I don't like see their chemistry as much as I mean, again, camera time, screen time maybe could be the reason, but I didn't see like as much as we've seen like her as of late. Also with what's his name, Io, that kind of chemistry I just haven't seen with him, with with Omar. So I also hope somebody comes for him. Maybe he could just cut the dreadlocks and maybe someone will come for him, but that's just me.
Bring the barber back, have him cut his hair, and then send in
And
some
then
cute
take the
girls
bob
for both
out.
of them. Yeah.
Totally. Well, that concludes our proper ranking game for the week.
What's the scoop on the streets? On the streets? Okay, time for scoop on the streets. Okay, so it's obviously time for the scoop on the streets, where we discuss what's happening on the internet about current islanders and past islanders. And seems like this week we have a lot of scoop. Let's start with maybe Gabby. I feel like you've been scooping through the streets a lot this week.
Yeah, some sad news to start with. Well, not so sad. So Jack Fowler, which was the winner of Love Island Games from the last season, so he had an allergic reaction on a flight, and it's pretty intense, you guys. So he basically was on a flight. He is they give him food. He picked like chicken curry. He checked with the flight attendant, hey, I'm allergic to nuts. Like, does this have nuts? She says no. When he gets his plate, again checks, and she says no. Basically, like dismisses him. He starts eating and has an allergic reaction, which basically closes his throat. Um, he had to use his EpiPen, and he had to use like 5 oxygen tanks, which is pretty crazy. At some point he even says like, I think I'm gonna die if you
Oh
don't
my
take
God.
me, if you don't like pull over, like if you don't stop this plane right now. So immediately when they land, they take him to the Dubai hospital. And that's where they finally get him help. But it was really horrible. And the reason he shared that on his social media was because he wanted to like raise awareness for, not only like how important it is for like airlines to take accountability and like be more vigilant towards that type of thing. Like if someone's asking, if they're telling someone that they have allergies, like he could have died. It's something really important for people to keep in mind. And just in general, like if you have allergies, or if you don't know if you have allergies, like just keep in mind safety. So that's what I
That's
heard.
crazy. That's crazy.
Actually
Yeah.
crazy.
That's as if they were treating him as if he said like, I'm gluten free. I mean, no, gluten free is a real thing. They made him seem like
Yeah.
his allergy was more like he's
Lactose
vegan. It's like, I mean, you
intolerance.
can be vegan. Well, I mean, like those like lactose intolerant and gluten, like celiac, that's a real thing. But the way they just threw him,
True.
it's as if he was saying like, I'm vegan, because like vegan, you are vegan by choice. So
Yeah.
I think for them, if they're not choosing, they weren't taking him seriously because they were making it seem like he has like a dietary restriction that's by choice, when actually no, I don't think he's choosing to have a nut allergy and have to carry an EpiPen.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you don't want to eat carbs?" Like, no, man, this is like a legit allergy. Like, and he asked twice, which is crazy. Like, and then I guess they didn't even find out too until they brought the menu over. So he didn't even have a menu to look at the ingredients or whatever. So, oh, so
Exactly.
scary.
I love you like menu. I mean, menu if he's traveling in first class. I don't see economy giving us menus.
Oh, they do. They do though. They do pass out like a little, just a little thing, or like in the beginning of
Pamphlet.
the flight. Yeah, they'll tell you what
Mm,
it is. But anyway, the real issue is that they should be more communicative of like these types of things being in the food.
yeah.
Totally. Nicole, what
Nicole.
did you hear?
Oh yeah, so apparently our girl Ekin Sue, as you all know, her and Davide had a breakup this past year, and she hasn't really talked about it. Davide hasn't really talked about it. They were kind of like very amicably posting on Instagram, "Hey, we've decoupled or whatever." But apparently she's writing a book. It's coming soon, and she is done protecting Davide. So apparently there's gonna be some juice in it. She's gonna spill it all. And anyway, I'm excited. Maybe we should have a little book reading sesh.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
Proper
Oh
chat book
my
club.
gosh. That's so interesting, because I think I watched this thing with Ekin randomly, some clip where she low key was like, because I don't know what they asked, I don't know, and then basically somebody, her comment was that like Davide likes to party, like he likes to go out. So maybe I wonder if she'll probably discuss if that was the reasoning behind like a lot of their breakup or whatever.
I could see it.
He like he's for the streets.
He
Interesting.
He's
is
for
for
the
the
Amazing.
streets.
streets.
Yeah.
The other juice that I got, other silly drama that I was seeing on the streets, I listened to So Wrong, It's Right. It's Olivia Atwood's podcast. Highly recommend it. It's pretty good. And she's been having a lot of Love Islanders on it. But she had Molly from last season talk about her time in the All Stars cast. And apparently everyone on that season got food poisoning. And there was like a whole situation with the toilets. They like
Oh
tried to like separate
no.
it. So the girls got the downstairs bathroom and the boys got the upstairs, but it was like so bad that people were having to just run to whichever bathroom was available. Anyway, she was like explaining too that like they also have a camera in the toilets, and like I think it's like for safety reasons, like they don't want people to like pass out in the bathrooms and like not have a record of it or something like that. But she was like, your first poo in the villa is so traumatic. So you're like sitting there with the camera. You also like have to carry around your microphone. She's like, I put my microphone and I like covered it up. And anyway, I was like, oh my God, this is a hot mess. This is like the least dramatic stuff that happens behind the scenes. So, and it was very a fun little tidbit about what goes on behind the scenes.
That sounds
Damn,
like my biggest nightmare.
Truly.
truly. Oh my gosh. Not me. I won't be going on the villa. That's the reason why I can't go.
Brana would have to have her own private toilet outside of the villa to be able to go on.
That's the only reason why I can't go on, guys.
Gabby, what did you hear about our favorite vacation in Manvia?
Oh, yeah. So when he was in the after show, he was talking to he's been on a few podcasts, I believe, or maybe it's just one, but there's been a lot of clips around on TikTok. He was talking about, well, he was being asked. He doesn't like volunteer this information, but there's
Hmm.
been a lot of speculation about Ronnie's hair and what he uses, because there was one clip in specifically showing that he was kind of like balding in a few spots, which, you guys, this is how I feel about it. I'm like, leave the guy alone, in my opinion. Like I just felt like the girls get to change their hair and wear extensions and all the things, but the guy is like, I don't know. I just felt a little weird about that. And that's initially why I shared it, because I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. But what Munvier says, and the reason I think that people are being so like crazy about his hair, Ronnie's hair, is because he's literally been so controversial this whole show. Like, he's not an angel, so that's why people are like finding faults in him. If it was like Sean or someone that's been like a sweet angel, there's like no reason to point. Manveer basically says that Ronnie was open about this. He uses hair fibers, which I think comes in like a little can, and he just sprays it to basically cover kind of like the areas where he's balding. So
Yeah, I have so many thoughts about this. I'm interested in your point, Gabby, because I actually clocked his hair like when they even revealed like the first photos. I was like, "Ooh, his hairline is a very dark. It's like stark right there." And I
yeah.
remember sharing the photo with my husband, Boris, and him being like, "Oh, I wonder if he's wearing a wig. Like it looks kind of like a wig." Anyway, so as the season has progressed, I've been curious about like if it is some sort of thing. And anyway, it was revealed that he has like hair fibers, which I totally agree. Like if that makes you feel confident, go for it. Like it's totally fine. And as long as like your future partner like knows what you've done and like is cool with it, like whatever, right? Like rock it. But it is interesting having his ego matched with his hair insecurity. Like I think it actually weirdly adds a like layer of him that I'm curious about, and I wonder if he talks about more
Mhm.
openly in the villa.
Yeah. There's moments that we definitely don't see. Like, we don't see the boys getting ready, like pretty much ever, except for like, a little spray, a little
Mhm.
shirt situation. Um, yeah, I think that's like it it's a level of insecurity, but also that we haven't seen, but also like it's not that deep. It's just like his hair. But I do
Hmm.
think it's like everybody's so invested because it's him, because he's like been so like everybody's so interested. The girls know, right? Like the girls see him every day. They see him get out
Totally.
of the shower and stuff. It's not,
Yeah. I hear you.
It's not.
I also think that in the same way that if we're talking about the girls and their fillers, like we can, because you're up for public consumption in the villa, like we can make assumptions about it. You know what I mean? Like we can talk about it. It's not a big deal. Like same with the girls getting fillers, it's not a big deal, but it's like a curious thing. And I feel like more guys should be open and communicative about some of the stuff. Like it feels like girls, it's like an open secret. For guys, it's like a don't hush hush, don't talk about it kind of thing.
Oh, speaking about our homie Manvia, he's also clearly he's been on the streets commenting about everything because I heard that he thinks that Tiffany doesn't really like Ronnie at all, and as much as he likes her, and that he feels that Ronnie will be running back to Harriet soon.
I'm interested in this take because I was telling Boris this too, that like I don't love the girl. She seems really sweet, but like I haven't gotten a sense of her like personality or interests or like anything other than like she can laugh, she's a little silly, like and she's hot. And she's hot. And she does the little hee-hees or like the dolphin noises that she was making in the last episode. Oh my God, I was dying. But I
What the
agree.
heck
Like
was
I feel like
that?
Ronnie likes her because she's hot. And I don't know how long that will last. Like it might
Mm-hmm.
go for a little bit longer, but he's gonna need someone that like is hot and also can give it back to him and like have a conversation, you know?
You hope.
You would hope, but who knows? I've been surprised with Ronnie, so
Yeah. Another thing that I actually heard about, which I was like interesting, this is about old islanders that Josh, you know, Josh Blue Eyes, Sophie's boyfriend, he recently has come under fire for not paying a small business 400 quid or like 400 pounds to that they helped set up his birthday balloons display. And they said it took them about like 10 hours of work, and they feel like they charged them 400 pounds, but they said that that was the minimal range because they thought in exchange they would get a social media post. But they were like, it's been like a month, and they're like, he's obviously posted about the event, and he hasn't tagged them or mentioned anything about like that they did the balloons for him. And so they sort of are like, posted on the internet being like, hey Josh, like we did your balloons, you're still waiting for you to like pay us or post about us. And then it's only from that post that Josh was like, whoopsie, I messed up there, I didn't follow up my end of the agreement. So it kind of was like so shady. It's like, would he have paid because he conveniently forgot because he said he was traveling? But it's like, that's so sketchy.
Right. Like the company must have reached out to him, right? I'm sure they reached out to him
And
to
there was an
remind him of the
agreement.
payment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like let's just say someone is so busy that they forget. I'm sure the company called you and like try to reach you. They
Yeah.
were like a little desperate. That's a lot of money too for like a business, you know? That's a good amount. And also like they were saying they were charging him less because they expected that social media post and they didn't even get that. That's horrible. He needs to take accountability for that and learn from his mistakes.
Shame on you,
agreed.
Josh.
Shame.
And then Gabby, you said there's more scoop. Apparently, you've been busy on these streets. What else did Juliet spin up?
No, I heard that Sam, the guy that just left. Well, I heard a few things about him. One was that during his time in the island, that him and Samantha had a little feud. He was like, she's the only person that he could not get along with. Apparently, it wasn't shown, any of that wasn't shown on camera, but he was like very confused because he says that he always gets along with people. So he was kind of like confused as to why he didn't get along with her. I feel like a little part of it, well, from what I read, was that she was trying to kind of like show that she wasn't interested because she was like immediately paired up with him. She was just interested in the new guy, Joey, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she came off like a little strong and they had like a weird dynamic. that wasn't shown. That was the first thing that I heard, which was interesting. The second thing was that a lot of people are speculating out on the streets that Sam is going to come back to Casa, because when he leaves the show, he says like something like hinting like he'll be back. He says to everybody like, I'll see you soon. I mean, everybody says that, but people are speculating that he said it in a specific way, kind of like suggesting that he'd be back in Casa, which I think he should come back to Casa. One day was just wasn't enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, would love to see more of him and actually learn what his deal is, and yeah,
Yeah.
bring him back.
Bring him back.
Might as well.
Yeah.
The last little bit that I had, and I think Rana, you and I kind of like talked a bit about this too in the group chat, but basically there's been a lot of conversation about the contestants this year and their fillers and just how they look and kind of, I don't know, a lot of people have been saying they look like way older than they actually are. And there was actually a TikToker who sort of like broke down why it is that it is kind of like a trend in the UK to get these fillers. But basically, I did some research on this. Usually in the United States, when you go to get fillers, you have to go through a licensed medical practitioner, so a doctor or a nurse. And in this instance, in the UK, their regulations only specify that you need a specific certification to get this sort of regulation to give people fillers. So they kind of classify it as like a non-surgical procedure. And so like you can literally take a 2-day course online and get the fillers. Anyway, the certification, I was actually, do you guys remember Jess from
Yeah.
3 seasons ago? Remember how she was esthetician? I don't know
Yes,
if you
and she
ever,
won.
yeah, and she won. If you follow her on Instagram, she actually like shows like some of that work that she does with some of her, I don't know, I can't even call them patients, but like people that come in to get their fillers done. So she's like actually one of the people that is licensed to give, I don't know,
Injections. Yeah.
fillers.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, hopefully the people of the UK that are listening to us will tell us whether the internet is right or wrong about these regulations, because
No,
we are interested.
oh no, I actually looked this up, you guys, because I was like, I want to double check this. And I
Oh, like
went to the
oh
UK's
wow.
government website, and there's actually like they're saying that actually there were some court cases sort of about it, and
Oh
they
wow.
decided because it's like a non-surgical practice, that's what they do. So until they change it,
Wow.
they've addressed that it is kind of risky, and obviously you're not going to get like the best results from like any person on the street. And so they did recommend going to a professional like doctor, but it's free. People are able to do it.
Is this for
Well,
stuff on the face only, or
It's stuff that injects. So that was the only restriction, that it's like a non-surgical sort of procedure. So anything that is like an injectable or Botox.
well, and I wonder too, the person who's get the 2-day certificate is probably a lot cheaper to go to than the person who is a doctor. And that, so I'm assuming like that could also be part of it. It's like, they're probably charging less because they have less certifications, or not an actual doctor. And also another thing is like I wonder too, because people find out they're going on the show and then they quickly try to go through these transformations, whether it's like trying to lose weight, knowing that they're going to be in bikini for 8 weeks. Same thing with this. It's like trying to get the quick, like, okay, I'm going to do all of this work with fillers and things like that too. And to your points, like oftentimes with like injectables, like the quicker things are actually the things that look more abrasive on the face, versus doing something that takes a lot longer, looks more natural, and so it just but those things are also more expensive, so it's probably like all of those things combined.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
wow. Well, thank you so much for Scoops on the Streets. Is also journalism, research journalism. Thank you, Nicole. So, um, so I mean, I guess that concludes Scoop on the Streets this week. We not only gossip, we're also a research project.
My journalism grade did not go to use for nothing.
Oh,
The
I love
homework was
that.
done.
All right, friends, that concludes our episode of the week. Thank you so much for listening with us. If you would like some more of our content throughout this week, we are on TikTok and Instagram at Proper Chat Pod. If you want to support the show, I would love it if you could take a little picture of where you're posting or where you're listening right now, and then post it on your stories and tag us on Instagram at Proper Chat Pod. I think we would love to see where you are in the world. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back next Thursday with more Love Island gossip. Stay proper and stay chatting.